Okay, well, how you doing? Welcome back to Soul Invictus. Tonight is going to be about the seeds. So, from what I've been able to, put together as far as all the passages and parables of the seeds, I'm going to try to draw out the message, squeeze it like a lemon, and get all the juice out, get all the good stuff out of it. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I do here on my channel. And so, this is a new channel that I made for specifically for this type of content because my other channel has games on it too, and so the way that the upload works for that is a little weird. So I'm just gonna make this particular channel just for this type of content, and I'm just gonna put it on there. So if you're hoping to see more of this, and you want to see more of my Soul Invictus series where I talk about, source creation, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, however you want to describe him, come here and subscribe to this channel particularly because this is where I'm going to put it. So anything else in the future will go to this particular channel, so that's where you're gonna have to see it. And it's gonna work out better for me. I think it's gonna work out better for you and everybody else that's subscribed to me. So you get to see particular content for each particular thing. So without further ado, I'm going to go into it and I'm going to talk about it, and also make another little intro for this new channel so it's easier for everybody to come here and see exactly what I'm going to go through and exactly what I'm going to talk about, because I think these things are really important to share, and I feel like a lot of people have lost the message, and a lot of people have little bits and pieces of it here and there, and they kind of use it to, their advantage, whether nefarious or whether for own personal gain. And so I'm just doing this for free because, there shouldn't be, I'm not gonna, try to make this into a job or anything. This is just something I think what I've been reading, and from the years and years that I've had reading this, it makes sense now that we're just here for each other. And so I'm going to go through all these, different parables in the Bible, combine them together, and look at their meaning and draw out the message so that everybody can see what it is. And so I know there's other people, bigger than me that see what I'm doing and they sort of copy what I'm saying, and they, I've seen them talk about it, almost exact same message that I've been saying, and they'll say the same thing. So you'll see it. You'll see it happening, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a message that needs to be shared. But if you want to share your resources, where you got the information from, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. We can help each other. So, anyways, let's get into it, and I'm going to talk about this. This particular video is going to be a little longer because some of the seeds references. There's a lot of little references in the parables, so I'm going to put together most of them, and I'm going to read to you a good majority. I'm going to let you look along the list here on this this side of the screen here, and you can read through it. Let me get down to where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start on it's going to be Matthew, what is this, 13? No, I'm not. No, Matthew 12:33, and then it's 13 after that. So, but I'm going to let you look at this, and if you want to skip ahead, I'll have all the chapters linked down below as far as what I'm going to be reading, so if you want to just kind of jump ahead sometimes you can. But let's start here. So Matthew 12:33, it starts off with a tree and its fruits. So this is going to be about the seed and the fruits. That's what I'm covering today. And so here we go. Either declare the tree good and its fruits good, or declare the tree rotten and its fruit is rotten. For a tree is known by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you say good things when you are evil? For from the fullness of the heart the mouth speaks. A good person brings forth good out of a store of goodness, but an evil person brings forth evil out of a store of evil. I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will render an account for every careless word they speak. And by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Okay? So that's one part there. Let's move on ahead to Matthew. I'll give you a synopsis of what I think after this. But we're going to go to 13:18. So I could probably just quickly, boom, just hit that. And we're down to starting on 18 here. Okay, so Matthew 13:18, the explanation of the parable of the sower. Hear then the parable of the sower. The seed sown on the path is one who hears the word of the kingdom without understanding it. And the evil one comes and steals away what is sown in his heart. The seed sown on rocky ground is the one who hears the word and receives it at once with joy, but he has no root and lasts only for a time. When some tribulation or persecution comes because of the word, he immediately falls away. The seed sown among thorns is the one who hears the word, but then worldly anxiety and the lure of riches choke the word, and it bears no fruit. But the seed sown on rich soil is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields 100 or 60 or 30-fold. So that's kind of explaining there, like, what people kind of put in their life. I think, like what I've, made a note of, it's basically where you plant yourself. Sort of an understanding about the seeds, where you plant yourself in life. This is how the message of God will affect you, based on where you've decided to plant yourself in life. So, move on here. I was going to read some more of this. Actually, there's a bunch more in here. Parable of the weeds among the wheat. This is sort of related, so I'm going to go into this too. He proposed another parable to them. The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a man who sowed good seed in his field. While everyone was asleep, his enemy came and sowed weeds all through the wheat, and then went off. When the crop grew and bore fruit, the weeds appeared as well. The slaves of the householder came to him and said, "Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where have the weeds come from?" He answered, "An enemy has done this." His slave said to him, "Do you want us to go and pull them up?" He replied, "No. If you pull up the weeds, you might uproot the wheat along with them. Let them grow together until harvest. Then, at harvest time, I will say to the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles for burning, but gather the wheat into my barn." So this is basically, deception's sown within this is where Jesus is saying deception was sown within this world. And people are like, well, we should just destroy it all, just pull up the whole thing and regrow. Kind of like what happened with the flood a long time ago and those major disasters that pretty much destroyed everything. Jesus is saying here, no. Because if you do that, you're going to pull up the good ones before they're, strong enough, before they're, at their peak performance, where they can have grown themselves. You wouldn't be giving them a chance. So Jesus is saying here, this is not a good idea. So that's the reason. That's also another reason I believe that we're still here. We're here with the bad, along with the good. The good and the bad get to stay here, because otherwise, if we're plucked out too early, how would we have gained our potential? How would us, the good ones, have gained our potential in life? Kind of hard to say. So this is another reason, I thought this was a good part here too. So I'm going to read through this too. Here's another one. Parable of the mustard seed. He proposed another parable to them. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a person took and sowed in the field. It is the smallest of all seeds, yet when full grown, it is the largest of plants. It becomes a large bush, and the birds of the sky come and dwell in its branches. So, another thing where Jesus was saying, when he was saying, foxes have dens and birds have nests, but I have nowhere to lay my head. I have nowhere to be. This is possibly another connection fitting into that. If you are this tiny mustard seed, but you can grow to this gigantic thing of love and caring, being a good person for humanity, because we're all here for other humans, whether it's family, whether it's friends, we're all here for that. And becoming that good seed that grows can help. I mean, it's just like reflecting light off of other light. It just bounces and gets bigger and bigger. It becomes brighter and brighter. And so if you pulled out the root, you wouldn't let the seed grow in its full potential. Now he's talking about the mustard seed and the potentiality of the mustard seed. He's saying that we are like the mustard seed right there, and that if we were taken out too early, we wouldn't be able to have our full potential. So that's where we go with that. The parable of the yeast. He spoke to them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast, that a woman took and mixed with 3 measures of wheat flour until the whole batch was leavened. So there's a lot of work that goes into this, just like what we have to do with our lives. There's a lot of work that we have to do in our lives to, be able to make something great out of it. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to make something great out of ourselves and help others make something great out of themselves as well. So we're here for each other. The more that we build up each other, the stronger we get. And apparently the more treasures there are in heaven. There's a lot more out there for us. So, and then he goes, the use of the parables. All these things Jesus spoke to the crowds in parables. He spoke to them only in parables to fulfill what had been said through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will announce what is laid hidden from the foundation of the world. Okay? So, basically, you'll read this in other parts. Like, if you read John more so, John is mostly a message about Jesus to the apostles, mostly by themselves. Most of the other stuff here is the message of Jesus to the disciples, because the message of John actually explains more of what Jesus is actually saying. The message of John explains the message of Jesus. So when you read John, you're reading what Jesus is trying to really relate to you. There's no more hidden anything. It's just, this is exactly what I'm trying to say. For the most part, And so that's the reason when I read John, I'm like, wow, this explains so much. Because you read John, you go back, you read the other stuff, and you're like, it makes all total sense now. So let's just go into this part. So, explanation of the parable of the weeds. Then, dismissing the crowds, he went to the house. His disciples approached him and said, explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field. He said and replied, He who sows good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed, the children of the kingdom. The weeds are the children of the evil one. And the enemy who sows them is the devil. Harvest is the end of the age, and harvesters are angels. Just as the weeds are collected and burned up with the fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out of his kingdom all who cause others to sin and all evildoers. They will throw them into the fiery furnace, where they will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears ought to hear. Whoever can understand this, you better start understanding this, because it's a very important message. It's basically whoever can decipher this ought to take this message to heart. Basically saying it's a very important thing. So what he's saying there, the weeds are put here. So, there's evil that's put here. And some people plant themselves within this evil part. And because they decided to plant themselves there, they don't have the growth that other people do. Now, do I believe that you could uproot yourself and put yourself in a better position in life? Yeah, I do. I think everybody has a chance. But there are people that purposely plant themselves into terrible situations, and they choke the good seed, which is the better people, the people that are trying to strive for God. They're trying to strive for something better up there. They're trying to do something good with their lives. So the people that basically we're just talking about are going to burn up and all that in the end are the people that never change their life. Now you can look at the very end of when the thief was on the cross and he says, remember me in when you go into paradise. And Jesus says, you're going to be there with me today. What that basically meant was the thief decided to come to terms with what he did wrong. And he understood he's done some things wrong and he knows he's going to take punishment for it. So he decided, to try to change his ways. And that's why some of the other parables talk about people come to work in a field near the end of the day, whereas somebody's working in the field at the beginning of the day, but they all got paid the same. And then the people that are working at the beginning of the day are like, hey, I was here before this guy. Why am I not getting paid as much? He's like, you decided to work the day, you got paid the same price. So what ends up happening is the reason why other people say a lot of sinners at the end of their lives go to heaven sometimes faster than some of the people you think are saintly, because they've experienced things to actually help them grow. And although they've been in a bad stage of their life, there is a chance at the end. Now, it's not to say that you want to do bad all the time and at the very end go, oh, I'm sorry, kind of like a Rick and Morty thing where, I think it was Rick, he was, condemning or praising God, and then once he was able to get out of the limbo that he put himself into, then he condemned him. I think some people literally do this kind of stuff, and I think the presumption of it is something you have to be worried about, because apparently there are people that do burn up. And my understanding of it is people that don't try anything. They don't do anything good for anybody. They don't believe there's heaven or hell. They don't believe in a God. They don't believe in anything. And they just live their life seeking to destroy others. Now, whether it's apparent or not, whether it's a hidden intention or an apparent intention, that's something that, I can't say. But apparently from here and in the Bible, it does say there are these types of people. So if you can recognize it and you see these kinds of people, maybe help them if you can. But, just know that your life is in your own hands. It's up to you to make it. So if you're seen as a helper, you're trying to help, you're trying to be that kind of person that's trying to help everybody out, grow the love from within to without, you're not going to be the one that's on the rocky path. You're not going to be the one that's being choked by thorns. You're going to be the one that was put where you needed to be because you decided to plant yourself in the right space to grow and to be that fruit for others, so that you can help them grow. And then it just continues. So this is what I see. This is the way the message sounds. And so, that's what I wanted to say. Another interesting part here, too, when I read in the footnotes, and I was looking at this in Matthew 13:39. I think am I in the right spot here? Matthew 13:39. If I read down here a little bit further. Yeah, Matthew 13:39. It says, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age. The harvesters are the angels. Now, when I look at footnotes here in my Bible that is the New American Bible, it's St. Joseph edition, it says, the end of the age. This phrase is only found in Matthew 13:40 and then a bunch of other footnote numbers. Basically, it's saying, I don't know what this means. The end of the age. It's harvested at the end of your age, the end of your life. That's the end of the age. Because this life is like a school, so to speak. Now, it's being used as seeds here, but what we would probably describe it as now is a school. Well, I'm still gonna go with this. I'm still gonna continue talking about this here. So let's put this down. Let's get to Mark, because I've got Mark now. In Mark, there's not too much in Mark. Mark 4:1, and Mark 4:26, and then 4:30. So right here, if I go to Mark now, I'll read through this. Okay. Parable of the sower. On another occasion, he began to teach by the sea. A very large crowd gathered around him, so that he got into a boat on the sea and sat down. The whole crowd was beside the sea on land, and he taught them at length in parables. And in the course of his instruction, he said to them, "Hear this: a sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seed fell on a path, and the birds came and ate it up. Other seed fell on rocky ground where it had little soil. It sprang up at once because the soil was not deep. And when the sun rose, it was scorched, and it withered for lack of roots. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and produced no grain. And some seed fell on rich soil, and it produced fruit. It came up, and it grew, and yielded 30, 60, and 100-fold." He added, "Whoever has ears ought to hear." So this is pretty much the same exact thing that I just read before. So this is almost this exact same type of story previously. Now, why it's not exactly 100% exactly the same story is because multiple people are writing about Jesus after he's pretty much dead. Most of this stuff wasn't written down exactly at that time. They just had a good memory. They memorized what he said, so they wrote a lot of it down later. Now, it could be contended some people did write this down exactly when he said this, but these are simple fishermen and farmers. They're not exactly scribes. So that's the reason why you're going to see different types of text in the different Gospels. Most people don't understand this. 2,000 years ago, you were mostly just a farmer or a fisherman. Unless you were in the military or involved in government, you didn't really have much in your life that wasn't much going on in your life. You didn't have tons of schooling that you could just readily go to, only if you had the time to. Most of the time you were farming. If you ever thought about farming or fishing, you would know how long it takes to actually do that type of work. That type of work is very grueling, and it can take a very long time, especially if you're trying to get enough crops to last for the year. And everything else you need to do, it's just all day long work. It's pretty much mostly what you're doing with these types of jobs. So for these type of people, that's the reason why I understand, it's not going to all be exactly 100% the same with what they've remembered to write down, but it's pretty close. You can see how close that was, especially this particular parable compared to the other one. So every person's going to remember what they think is important, and then they're going to write down what they think is important according to when they think it should be written down. That's the reason why we got this. So anyways, we go and Mark 4:26, and then he talks about the purpose of the parables. So I'll go through this too, because I think I have to read all this too. So the purpose of the parables: and when he was alone, those present along with the 12 questioned him about the parables. He answered them, "The mystery of the kingdom of God has been granted to you, but to those outside, everything comes in parables, so that they may look and see but not perceive, and hear and listen but not understand, in order that they may not be converted and be forgiven." Jesus said to them, "Do you not understand this parable? Then how will you understand any of the parables? The sower sows the word. These are the ones on the path where the word is sown." So the word that he's talking about, being good and kind to other people. Now, when he's saying that some people might not be forgiven and all that, it basically means that Satan's going to come and tempt some of those to manipulate the word into something that it's not. Now, I've actually seen people do this on YouTube lately, where they're trying to talk about, like when Jesus was resurrected, in his resurrection, the angels that came down, they're talking about the angels being monsters because the guards passed out or they were killed because of the bright light. They're not monsters, okay? It's just, that's not, I mean, and other things too. Some people were trying to talk about Jesus being gay, but if eros is not used in the Greek wording for love that's being used when they're talking about love, Jesus is talking about love and he's using a different word that doesn't mean sexual love, then it's not that at all. So there's so many people that will try to twist and turn the message into their own particular field of advantage to use it for a monetary gain. Now you can look at these people. Did they make books? Did they try to sell themselves? Are they trying to go for fame? Are they doing anything for anybody else, or is it all for them? Now, if it's all for them, you can see them by their works. So you got to look at some of these other people and what they're trying to talk about, and go, what are you trying to get out of this? What are you trying to gain? And if it looks like it's trying to twist things into their own personal agenda, then you know that Satan's got a hold of them, and they're a wolf in sheep's clothing, and you got to be aware. You really do. So if they're not trying to be accurate and they don't understand the message Jesus was talking about, they don't know what they're talking about, because Jesus was trying to give us a message the whole time. And that's one of the most important things he did do here, that he did give to us. So Jesus said to them, "You do not understand this parable, then how will you understand any of the parables? The sower sows the word. These are the ones on the path where the word is sown. As soon as they hear, Satan comes at once and takes away the word sown in them. And these are the ones sown on rocky ground, who when they hear the word receive it at once with joy, but they have no root. They last only a little time, then when tribulation or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away." See, they have no root. They decided not to plant themselves in a good area in life. They decided to just kind of tumbleweed around, oh, whatever, I don't care. And nothing can take hold. There's nothing that can really take hold in your heart if you just go, I don't care. Nothing matters, I don't care. If you do that, it doesn't matter to you. So that's the reason why this is said right here. Those sown among thorns are another sort. They are the people who hear the word, but worldly anxiety and lure of riches and a craving for other things intrude and choke the word, and it bears no fruit. Worldly anxiety, lure of riches, and the craving for other things intrude and choke the word. And craving for other things, other agendas. They have an agenda. They're trying to make money off it somehow. They're trying to manipulate it, trying to twist it, trying to use whatever they can out of this message to change it and twist it into something that works for them, but for nobody else. So you have to come to me only. That's basically what they try to do. Now I'm going to help everybody out with this. I'm going to help you see where the message is going and the reason why some of these things were hidden to the nefarious types of characters out there, and the fact is, if you are a nefarious character and you're watching this right now, other people are going to spot it, because they're going to see right through you with that, and that's not what you should be doing. The fact is, it's not going to be good for you if you are that kind of character, and I hope you're not. I pray you're not. And there is a way to fix your life, but you have to literally replant yourself in a good area. You have to take yourself away from all this stuff that's making you full of hatred and pain. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it is. But you have to put yourself and replant yourself in the good field, away from all of this evil that surrounds you. That's one of the important parts. But those sown on rich soil are the ones who hear the word and accept it and bear fruit 30 and 40 and 60 fold. So planting yourself in the good soil. What does that mean? Put yourself in an area that will help you help others, but it doesn't supplant, it doesn't hinder you from being able to do so. Like if you are surrounded by thorns, which would be tons of negativity, negative messages, you know, oh, the world's going to end tomorrow. And you just, stuff like that, you know. People are telling you, oh, you're rotten, you're no good, you're blah, 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 you're this, you're that. You need to remove yourself from that in order to help you grow. You have to help yourself grow. Then people will see that and they'll get the idea that they can do that too. They'll start to grow. This is just a giant thing where we're trying to grow as much fruit as possible, as much good deeds as possible. But you have to displace yourself from there. This could be a very difficult thing, but it is possible. So, all right, so there was another thing. I'm discussing this a lot, but I feel like it's kind of important. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be as helpful as possible. So let me know in the comments down below if there's anything else you want me to cover here, because I'm going to try to cover everything in there. But if you feel like I missed something, I need to go back. Let me know that. So, anyways, 4:1, 4:26. Okay, the seed grows of itself. He said, "This is how it is with the kingdom of God. It is as if a man were to scatter seed on the land and would sleep and rise night and day, and the seed would sprout and grow. He knows not how. Of its own accord, the land yields fruit, first the blade, then the ear, then the full grain of ear. And when the grain is ripe, he wields a sickle at once, for the harvest has come." Okay, and then there's the mustard seed again. He said, "To what shall we compare the kingdom of God, or what parable can we use for it?" See, now he's comparing the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is filled with these gigantic mustard trees of souls that have made it. Giant fruit, basically. So, compared to kingdom of, it is like a mustard seed that, when it is grown in the ground, it is the smallest of all seeds on the earth, but once it is sown, it springs up and becomes the largest of plants and puts forth large branches, so that the birds of the sky can dwell in its shade. With many such parables he spoke the word to them, as they were able to understand it. Without parables he did not speak to them, but to his own disciples he explained everything in private. So this is saying that this personal crew, or the apostles, a very close group of people, he explained everything. That's the reason why I keep saying John is the one that's basically telling most of the message, because he's not talking about so much about the parables, he's talking about the message Jesus is saying. So let's go on ahead. I think that concludes Mark here, and I'm going to go up to, what are we at, Luke? Yeah, I'm at Luke now. So I'm going to finish up with Luke here, and I just really have 6:13 and 8:4. This does take a while to put this all together, so I apologize if I haven't been able to be on as much. I've been trying to put a lot of this together. If you want to help me out by putting together different parts of the story, of things, and finding different parts of the Bible, and you got any questions at all, please leave it down below. I will go over all that. So 6:37 is where? Okay. Yeah, I think this is a part of it too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Oh, no. 43. Yeah, 6:43. All right. Sorry about that. But I'll start up here. A tree known by its fruit. A good tree does not bear rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For people do not pick figs from thorn bushes, nor do they gather grapes from brambles. A good person out of the store of goodness in his heart produces good, but an evil person out of the store of evil produces evil. For from the fullness of the heart the mouth speaks. So this is something like even I have to do, and even everybody that listens to it and does believe in Jesus and his message and all that. They have to try to do these things. So it's from within. The growth of all this is from within, and producing good fruit, being the seeds. Now, I know some people will talk about the fig tree. Fig tree is a whole other topic I'm going to discuss on the side. That could be a while to talk about that, but I'm going to include that on the side because that's a very interesting message in there that I can see, and so I'm going to go over that later. Because I was just thinking, someone's probably going to say, what about the fig tree? Isn't that a part of the seed? Yes, it is, sort of, but it's mostly its own kind of story. So I'm going to go over that at a different time. But the next one up that I know of is 8:4 of Luke. And let's get to that. Parable of the sower. And this has more of the parables of all the... so I'll just go up to Luke... Where am I right now? Oh, I'm on Luke. Yeah, Luke 8. No, I gotta go up to Luke 8. So, sorry if I haven't been able to do this and flipping through there. But I'm kind of focused on talking about this. You can also follow along. I'll have everything listed down below as far as where you can look at these particular sayings in the Bible. So, go ahead and read along with me if you like. It'd be kind of nice. So Luke 8:4. All right, and I'm just going to read down. So you can go and check this website out and read it for yourself too. But the parable of the sower. When a large crowd gathered with people from one town after another journeying to him, he spoke in a parable. The sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some seed fell on a path and was trampled. The birds of the sky ate it up. Some seed fell on rocky ground where it grew. It withered for lack of moisture. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew with it and choked it. And some seed fell on good soil. When it grew, it produced fruit 100-fold. After saying this, he went out. Whoever has ears to hear ought to hear. Now, this is repeated again. So this is kind of a key thing. Whenever he says, whoever has ears to hear ought to hear, if you have the ear to hear the understanding of the message, take it to heart. That's what he's trying to say. All right, so the purpose of the parables. When his disciples asked him what the meaning of this parable might be, he answered, knowledge of the mysteries of the kingdom of God have been granted to you, but to the rest they have been made known through the parables, so that they may look but not see, and hear but not understand. This is pretty much what I can tell, like what I've been saying before too, is these are people that will fight you tooth and nail, and they'll attack you. It's not just they don't understand. They've stood there, they planted themselves into the thorn area. They planted themselves into the area to be trampled. They planted themselves in the area that, wasn't without soil. They're on hard ground. They've decided to tumble around. They're tumbleweeds. They've supplanted themselves into these places of life, and they don't want to uproot and move to where the good soil could be. They don't want to be in a good spot. They want to be in the bad place. They want to be in a bad spot in their life. They're excited about it. I've seen people talk like this to me, and as much as I could try to help them and explain some things to them, some of them just fight, and it's like I'm trying to help you understand something, but they want to fight me tooth and nail because they want their understanding of it to be true. They don't. Here's the thing. Some people don't want to be good or do anything good for anybody because they like the choices they've made in life. They have everything they could want in life. They don't want to give anything up in any way, shape, or form. They don't want to be nice to other people. They enjoy being horrible and wicked to other people. These are the people that are not going to really probably make it. They still have a chance, but the only way that they can have that chance is that they uproot themselves. You can talk as much as you want, but unless they do it themselves, it's on them because your life is on you. And the same with them. Everybody's life is his own personal journey. You have to try to be a fruit for others. Now, that being said, nobody is a complete holy roller. I mean, there isn't anybody that hasn't sinned or hasn't done anything totally wrong. And you always got to look back at your life and go, oh, I kind of did that wrong. I wish I haven't done that, and then try to change and grow. And half the time that's where, people say they meditated, they've, changed this part about their life, they've moved around, and they finally decided they're going to start something good now. And so they resupplanted. They would have been in a bad place, but they resupplanted. Some people have to go through some life like that. But there are some people that don't ever change. And those people that just decide to never change, it's on them where they go in the future. It's not on you. It's on them. But the point is to be a good person, as far as what Jesus was saying. It's not for us to go out and condemn people. It's not for us. But the fact is that they could very well end up in the prison that they've decided to build around themselves because of where they've supplanted. So I'm just going to go and finish this up here, and I might wrap up with some final notes. But purpose of the parables, the disciples said to him, meaning announced. Okay, parable of the sower explained. This is the meaning of the parable. The seed is the word of God. Those on the path are the ones who have heard, but the devil comes and takes away the word from their hearts, that they may not believe and be saved. Those on rocky ground are the ones who, when they hear, receive the word with joy, but they have no root. They've decided, they feel good about it, but they don't root themselves within a good place in their life or within their hearts. They believe only for a time and fall away in time of trial. In time of trials, like back at the time when the Christians were being persecuted for their faith. They fall away during time of trials, things like that. They just decide, no, I don't care anymore, because I could be mocked or insulted or something like that. And that's what even happens today too. Most people keep their mouth shut because they don't want to be mocked or persecuted or insulted. You have to start to grow stronger than all the other people out there. And once you do that, that's when you're starting to build this fruit. You have to be stronger than them. And they'll see the strength, and the strength of what's good and kind and loving is stronger than anything evil or filled with hate, and it will dissolve it. So, where are we? They believe only for a time fall away. As for the seed that fell among the thorns, they are the ones who have heard, but as they go along, they are choked by the anxieties of riches and pleasures of the life, and they fail to produce mature fruit. But as for the seed that fell on a rich soil, they're the ones who, when they have heard the word, embrace it with a generous and good heart and bear fruit through perseverance. And that'll finish it for my reading for today. I know it was a bit, I don't know, I hope it wasn't too intense, but I kind of felt that I needed to go over some of this stuff. And this is something that I've, it seems like there's parts of your life you kind of go through or you kind of been into. And when you're there, it's sort of a growing pain, or it's sort of a growing stage. And, I got put into school when I was younger I didn't want to be in. I didn't want to be there at all. But I had to learn certain things. I had to, learn most of the Bible, outline the Old Testament, read through the New Testament multiple times. And I had to do it. And I didn't like it, I really wasn't, I kind of thought, well, this is kind of good, I'm learning it. But initially I didn't, it's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to like a different school that had, different subjects. I wanted to learn more. But most of what I learned was the Bible. So, when there are certain points in your life where you got to go, maybe I was here for a reason. Maybe there was a reason for this. Maybe I learned this particular skill for a reason. Maybe that can be helpful. Maybe I can help people with this. But as far as the message of what Jesus was trying to talk about, I don't see it as something that you should be selling for money. I don't think you should be... It's kind of hard because the thing is, as soon as you start to put money into the equation of something, it can... Because there's different things you might end up doing for money, and you kind of have to try to have a skill to do something for money in order to survive this world. That's kind of how it is. When some of the Jews asked Jesus, if you have a Roman coin, what do you do with the Roman coins? I can't remember exactly what the text was, but he says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. So basically what he's saying is, if it's theirs and they want it, let them have it. It's not yours to focus on. Focus on giving to God what's his, which the actual source of God. A lot of people try to understand, what is God? Why are we here? This, that, and the other thing. The actual source of God is an all-powerful source of love and compassion. Everything good is within it. Somewhere along the line, I don't know where, along the line, something fell apart. And how we're here, it seems like, to me, I feel like it's sort of a creation of maybe a broken angel or fallen angel. There's a lot of fallen angels that hit the world, and there's a lot of fallen angels that divide everything. And Jesus constantly says in John and other ones, you follow the devil, and the devil tempts him. I can give you the world because, well, the devil has the world. I mean, this is his place of residence. Now, when Jesus died on the cross, I think he literally buried the devil. But can the devil still be here as an entity? Now, when we talk about this kind of stuff, like devils and demons and stuff like that, I don't necessarily think they're physical entities. I think it's a blob of energy, an intelligent one, though, because even within your brain, it's just a floating, it's just, water that just floats around, and it makes connections here and there, and it gives you the understanding as far as how to communicate. I kind of see that as far as like spiritual energies too. They're like air, there's electrical impulses that go through there and give it the ability to ration. Now, explaining that any further, it's really hard. But as far as like creation and source and all that stuff, I think Jesus was trying to talk about his Father relating to the source creation of God and what he's about, and love, compassion, caring, and all that. And those are the fruits that you build. It's just these spiritual fruits you build throughout life where you're helping other people. Like I'm trying to do here. This is one thing that I can do. I can put puzzles together. I can put, pieces together and see where they fit. And I think I do it fairly well. I mean, if you think there's something else I need to like go through and check out and see, if you think that maybe there's something more to it, I will. And that's something that I think is an important part of life, is that we all actually look for what's the best thing. We all look for what our life means. Why are we here? Why am I here? A lot of people wonder that all the time. Why am I here? Well, you wanted to be here. That's why you're here. You're here because you wanted to be here. So, I mean, you'll basically say, well, God ordained it, and you're here. But you wanted to be here. This is the purpose of the initial Old Testament, the free will part. We gained the free will because we wanted that. And so, yeah, we're just here because we want to be here. We're here to have an experience. We're here to grow, which is what Jesus is actually talking about here. Seeds, we're the seeds. We were, put here in bodies, but we're here mentally, and we want to grow because this is what we want to do. That's the reason why some get thrown to the fire and some go up, because we chose what we've wanted to do. So you're here because you want to be here. So you have to make the choice. Do you want to go up? Do you want to go down? Do you want to get turned into nothing, like most atheists believe? Because the thing is, if you're an atheist, hardcore atheist, you think there's nothing else out there, you'll get turned into raw material, and something else will grow through whatever raw material that you were. You'll break down into nothing, and then something will grow from you. And I'm sorry, that's sort of a hardcore statement, but if you don't believe anything and you don't do anything good for anybody, there's nothing for you. That's the reason why I keep saying you go where you want to go. You want to be a nasty, horrible person, everybody. You're going to go to that nasty, horrible place when you die, because after you go, it's a dream. It's a dreamlike state. There is no physical place. It's the only thing I can describe is it probably feels more real than reality, but it's not here. It's not in this physical realm. It's not in this body. It's not something that you can explain in a physical matter. He saw Abraham before he was born, which isn't totally physically possible, but in a different dimension or realm, it could be 100% possible. So outside of time, a different dimension, a different reality, you got to wonder, why are we the only ones that actually contemplate our lives? Why are we the only ones that war with each other? Why are we the only ones that, wonder about, the good and the bad? You see all the animals just go about their day and they do what they do. And they never contemplate it at all. As long as they have food in their belly, as long as it's mating season, they were able to mate, as long as they get enough sleep, there's not much more to their lives. We're the one main higher sort of angelic being here that always wonders that. Why we wonder that is because we've come from a higher realm. And we decided that we wanted to grow. And so we're here because we came from there. We decided we want to grow. And when we go through life, a lot of the times we see things that make us wonder, maybe we don't need to. Maybe there's nothing else. A lot of things get us down in life. And the point is, the more you start to understand a lot of these other alt religions or alt spirituality beliefs or, alternate understanding of everything, you'll see that they're saying the same message. Peace, love, kindness, forgiveness, they're putting it all together. And this is basically what Jesus was saying the whole time. And so when people go, oh, I don't like Christianity, it's just a terrible thing, and right from the beginning with the original Catholics and all that stuff, that was all original Christianity. No, that was a religion that was built later. The original Christianity talks about what Jesus had to say, and if you actually read what Jesus had to say, you'll see his message. And so that's the reason why I decided to go over all this, because a lot of people have decided to twist it and manipulate it into their own version that helps them gain a following and helps them gain a lot of money, helps them gain a better status in life, fame, power, all this stuff goes to people's heads. So that's the reason why Jesus later on says, beware the man who says many prayers, wears long robes, and devours the coin of the house of widows. These are basic, holy rolling priest-like characters. So he was talking about basically the priests that were going out and, taking money from widows, it's like taking candy from a baby. There's a lot of scam artists out there, and there's a lot of people that will take things from you because they think, oh, you'll just listen to me because I give a really cool speech. I give a really nice speech, and you'll just believe everything I'm saying, and I can make it sound really, really good, and, I can act and do all these kind of things, and, people can do that. But that's where they fall when they, most people run to that because it sounds nice. And as though we are trying to be nice and sound nice to each other, we have to realize that there's going to be people out there that are going to be taking the message and using it for their own agenda. And so that's the reason I feel like I have to do this. That's the reason I feel like it's important. I'm not going to charge anything for this. On my other gaming channel, I do have a tip tab, for my games and stuff, but I'm just going to leave this like this. So this is totally free. There's nothing else to get out of this. And I don't feel like this type of message should have a monetary tag to it at all. Now, some people might disagree with that, but that's where I stand, and that's where I'm going to stand with that. And so I hope you enjoyed this. I know I kind of went all, I sort of talked about this, and I was talking about how I feel about this other thing, but sometimes I end up jumping into that. I just, I feel like it's all important. And I just feel like it just seems a lot like everybody has gotten so many things wrong and have used things in a wrong way or in a bad way and have gotten away with it for a very long time. And I just think it's a really important thing to help share with everybody. So yeah, if you want more, it did take me a while to look through some of this to find all the connecting pieces. And if I missed anything, I will get to it. But if you want to see a particular thing, let me know in the comments. If you enjoy my series, definitely subscribe to my channel here. You're going to have to subscribe to this channel, particularly if you want to see this in particular, because I have a new channel now. And so I don't have any subscribers at the moment. But if this is your thing and you like it, let me know. I'd love to have a conversation with some people. I know I did some live streams of this and I had a few conversations, but this is pretty deep. This is pretty heavy and it's pretty deep. I'm not going to lie about that. It's very heavy and it's very deep because this is something that will literally, for the most part, for most religions and most people's understanding of things, it's going to crack open a vortex of just self-understanding, and it's going to help you go, whoa. Most people think they focus on certain bad parts that they consider are bad, that Jesus would say about particular things, and they hold on to that hardcore, but they don't read what he just said beforehand, or they don't read what they just said afterhand, and then they use that, and they cherry pick it, and they turn it into something bad, like really bad, and then they get other people to subscribe to their message, which is total bull, and they run with it, and then they make money off of it, and then they put it out there, and everybody's like, oh yeah, this guy's really important because other people sided with him. Other people that didn't read what Jesus actually wrote sided with him, and this person that's putting out there didn't actually read what Jesus actually wrote. So yeah, it's like the blind leading the blind. That's the reason why I'm doing this. So I hope you enjoyed. If you do, leave a like, and if you got something that you want to talk with me about it. I'm more than willing to discuss it. And so I'm going to leave you with that. I'm sorry this was a long video. Maybe you actually like that it was a long video. I'm trying to make these shorter, but sometimes there's just certain parts that I feel like I need to include in here to kind of help, because when I'm looking at this, I want to put all the pieces together that are the same exact thing and juice it for all it's worth, because I think that's important. So that's all I'm gonna do. I'm totally done. I've said my thing, and have a great night. I'm gonna do probably a couple more. I've got a couple messages I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna probably do 2 more little videos because I want to do a little more than just one of these a week. So I'm gonna do some things where I'm talking about a message that I understand, and I'm not gonna use the Bible. I'm going to use my memory of the Bible and memory of a lot of things to just state my opinion on some stuff. So I got a couple more videos I'm going to put up probably tomorrow or the next day, and that'll be later on at night too. It'll be for this particular channel though. So if you want to see this stuff, come by and you'll see that as well. So have a great night, and go with Christ.